Hello and welcome to the Ohio Pagan Guide. We're your hosts, Callie and Samora, and this is our guide to all things pagan in Ohio.
So, with our recent excursion to Salem, I wanted to bring up the witch trials in the history of witchcraft. For me, I read a book called Heal the Witch Wound. The entire premise is that we all have all witches have a psychic trauma stemming from the witch trials. I don't necessarily believe that. I think the only influence the witch trials have on witchcraft today is how people perceive it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that the people that were tried and executed during the witch trials, whether it's the Salem witch trials or the European witch trials between the 14 and 1600s, I don't believe those people were witches as we would see them today.
Right.
I believe they were folk healers that were infringing on male doctors' rights. As we know, the majority of victims in the witch trials were female. But not all of them were. There were plenty of males who were also accused and tried and executed.
Right.
I believe that it was folk healers that were impeding on the practice of the male doctors. Outspoken people whose opinions caused a lot of stir in their villages and went against the grain of popular opinion. Or they were people who had land that was valued by someone else, especially the church at the time was doing huge land grabs.
Right. Well, not only that, you got to think if I didn't like you, I could say, oh, you're a witch, you curse my, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would have to try you because you've been accused.
Yeah. There was a lot of hysteria around it and a lot of let me get rid of this person that I don't agree with. So I think the history of modern witchcraft as we know it today actually starts in the 1950s with Gerald Gardner and Doreen Valente. They kind of teamed up and really popularized Wicca as a religion. Because shortly after that, you have things like Alexandria Wiccan coming up, the fairy tradition, Seax Wicca, the reclaiming tradition. All of these kind of stem from that initial basis that Gardner and Valente set up. There were scholarly works that were published before Gardner started in the 1950s with his publications. You have 1899, Charles Leland Godfrey's The Gospel of Aradia.
Yep.
Supposedly was an old Italian witchcraft story handed down to him. Whether that's true or if he was just fed a bunch of BS, we don't really know. You have Margaret Murray publishing works. She had the now debunked Witch Cult of the Western Europe, which was the whole premise that witchcraft secretly survived the witch trials, and
right,
that's been since no, it didn't really. Folk magic, folklore, sure, that survived, but witchcraft as we know it today did not. And then she also published The God of Witches, and then you have Aleister Crowley, publishing the Book of Law in 1904. And these all were allowed to be published despite the witchcraft law that was in place. It's the Witchcraft Act of 1735, because these were scholarly works. They were not publishing and teaching people how to be witches.
Right. They were just talking about the subject.
They were talking about the subject. Now, that law was abolished in 1951, and after that is when Gardner started publishing all his works. Witchcraft Today and things like that. Now, I'm not trying to say that Gardner was a fraud. I don't think that he developed ancient witchcraft. I don't think that what was the coven that he was supposedly initiated into? The New Forest Coven.
Yeah, which when he met them, weren't they a Dianic coven?
I have not researched the New Forest Coven much. He claimed that they were an ancient witchcraft tradition that survived to this day. And he was initiated supposedly in 1939. into that tradition. Um, and it may be controversial, but I don't think that what he and Doreen developed is ancient witchcraft. I believe it's at best Reconstructionist. And I do want to go on record and say that I'm not trying to say that the witch trials aren't important to history. I think that they are. I just don't think framing them as a bunch of witches died
Right.
is doing any benefit for anybody. I think that they definitely shaped the way witchcraft is viewed today. Between the representations you see in the media, which are slowly becoming better. Instead of being the old hag, now you have the
Okay,
new
so
witches.
not to interrupt, but I went and looked up the new Forest Coven just to make sure that I was right. And apparently they followed the Horn God and the Triple Goddess. So they weren't just Dianic.
I think Dianic came shortly after the feminist revolution started, where they thought they didn't need no man.
Don't need no man to do what I do.
It's not that they didn't need a man, it's that they believed that you had the masculine and the feminine in a single form, in a form of the goddess. But
Yeah, it was founded in the 1970s by
Susanna Budapest.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah. So the Dianic tradition came after Gardnerian Wicca is kind of the father of everything.
Right.
Because you had Buckland, who was initiated as a Gardnerian witch, and then he developed Sax Wicca, which is more of an English Saxon based version of Wicca than where Gardnerian is more Celtic based.
Right.
We're not even going to go into Alexandrian because
I will say this though, and I will go on record saying it because I am saying it on the record. You got to know your history.
Yes.
Because I see so many people that are like, I don't need to learn nothing. And it's like, in this political climate, yeah, you do.
In my book of shadows, I keep a kind of like a timeline of different things that happened throughout history. I do include the witch trials. They are important history. I just don't think that Heal the Witch Wound had the right
premise.
I don't believe that there's this generational psychic trauma that's carried forth by all witches, because all of the witches, all the people who were tried and executed in the witch trials were witches.
I could see it like this. I could see if you were saying because of the witch trials, there's a stigmata that follows you that you can't really get rid of because of the Christian based religion or religions that have the one God and that's it. And I can see that being a thing of like, you feel like no matter where you go, you're not being accepted. There is some sort of trauma that is attached to it that you're going to experience if you work in witchcraft. That I can believe. But saying that it comes from the witch trials and all that, no.
No. I believe the witch trials, as I've said, have shaped the way that we are perceived. And when you say you're a witch, everybody, immediately goes to Satan worshiping.
Yep.
If they're Christian. So I think that, the pointy hats, those come from the witch trials. Black cat familiar, witch trials. Yep. Being able to transform and fly, those are witch trials.
Yep. Which, by the way, flying on the broomstick was basically a bunch of witches got high.
Basically.
And we're just riding their broomstick.
Mm-hmm. I think that, the witch trials weren't the absolute persecution of witches. You can see this with the Ohio's one and only witch trial, the Bethel witch trial of Nancy Evans. She was an older woman. She was the closest neighbor, and she had a black cat. Those were why she was accused of bewitching 2 girls of her closest neighbor. Which that story has a happy ending. She was acquitted of her charges, of her accusation. The local magistrate weighed her against the Bible, so he set up this weighing mechanism, and if she weighed more than the Bible, then she was innocent. If she weighed less than the Bible, she was a witch.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was weighed, and of course she weighed more than the Bible, so she was acquitted. And it doesn't say why she moved, but she did move after the trial to Brown County. Um,
Probably was like done with it after that point. Like, these people try to kill me.
mm-hmm. um, there was no proof that she was actually a witch. There's no evidence that she was an herbalist or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
It's just, and it also, there's no, like, I really looked into this. There's no evidence to show whether or not the girl's actions continued after she moved. It just kind of was like, I think that they thought they were crazy. One thing that I thought was kind of interesting is it was mentioned that the two girls that were having these fits, they would start screaming at seeing things that nobody else could see. Is that they couldn't be married off because of their crazies, and they couldn't function as proper members of the household, so they couldn't do their chores.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of me wonders if they were just acting crazy to get out of chores or out of a marriage.
Right.
But of course, their behavior then brought in an innocent woman into who got accused of because she owned a black cat, essentially.
Well, that's the thing too. You know, we only had one witch trial, but how many people had been tried and basically done away with? Like, there's so many stories in Ohio of witches who've been persecuted and then tortured until they basically were dead.
Mm-hmm.
And then now there's the haunted story of the witch is here or the witch is there, or what was it? The witch ball, that
Mm-hmm.
one.
But yeah, I think the biggest effect that the witch trials have on us today is the negative connotation surrounding it, and why some people, because of those connotations, won't come out of the broom closet.
Or even use the word witch.
Yeah.
Because it's got such a negative connotation.
They go with Wiccan, or because that's more the love and light field that came out like when witchcraft was first being developed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I said developed. Um, it was trying to really get away from the whole negative connotations of doing something bad. We don't harm anybody. We don't do this. We don't do that. See, we're not devil
Look at our
worshippers.
read that we got here of our rules. This is what we follow.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think there is a good reason for Wicca. Like, it gives a baseline for people who are getting out of the Christian religion to kind of, it's easier to go into and accept,
Structure.
yeah. It gives you a baseline, because most people that I hear talk about witchcraft, they're like, where do I start? Where do I go? How do I do this? Like,
What are the rules?
what are the rules to it? And it's like, well, it depends on what you believe. There's so many different beliefs that you can't throw a coin and not hit something.
Yeah, I mean, like between the two of us, our whole difference of opinion on reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's there's so much variety, and honestly, with witchcraft, there are no rules, in my opinion. Just have good intentions.
So is there anything else that we want to say about the witch trials and to the broom closet?
Well, I think that whatever your reasons for being in the broom closet, I don't think there's necessarily a bad. There's no shame.
Right.
I just think if I want to make that very clear, like I'm not shaming anybody in the broom closet.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has their reasons, and it's not a bad thing to be in there, as we've talked about before.
Sometimes that's being in the broom closet. You can be out to your friends, your family, but what about work?
Mm-hmm.
And it's totally different. Like, I've known people who were pagan that worked at a Christian church.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And if they would have found out, they would have lost their job.
Yeah. And I mean, as we've discussed before, I'm on I'm in the doorway of the broom closet. I'm out to my family, most of my family, not all of my family. I'm out to my friends.
Right.
I won't deny it if something comes up at work. If my coworker tries to bless me, I'm going to stop them. Because that's, please don't.
Right.
But I'm not. I don't go around telling everybody that I'm pagan. I openly wear a pentacle, but I'm not in anybody's face about it. And
Right.
so I'm on that liminal edge of being in and out, I think is the best way to describe my
You have
status.
your daytime and your nighttime pagan,
Yeah.
which I think there's nothing wrong with that. Like, when I first started out, it was rough. You couldn't, it was the 90s. You couldn't come
Mm-hmm.
out. And especially living in a small kind of town, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Where the banjos are playing. Like, you're not. It's different between the person up the road who can do a little bit of healing magic that they say is Christian versus you casting a circle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so backwards in the hills.
Yeah, it's you gotta think about your own safety of when you're
Mm-hmm.
coming out. For me, it was the 90s. I didn't come right out and tell my mom at that point. I kept it like my brother knew because he gave me the book and a tarot deck.
The witch's starter kit.
Yeah, he gave me my starter kit, but I didn't immediately come out to my parents. I think I was in college when I finally came out to my mom.
How'd she take it?
Well, I'm glad you believe in something. So, in other words, if I was an atheist, she would have been upset.
Well, at least you got something to believe in.
As long as you believe in something.
Gotta love mothers.
I don't know that I ever really came out to my great aunt or my grandma as much. I'm trying to think if I ever actually told them. I don't think that I did.
They know now.
They know now. Like my mother-in-law and my father-in-law know, but the majority of their family, unless they're
Mm-mm.
really observant, they don't know. I don't broadcast it to them.
Right. Oh my God. So, my husband's family is Southern Baptist. And when they found out that I was a pagan witch, oh, there was all different kinds of talk. It went between devil worship to, no, this is what they believe in. Like, it was a whole pariah. And I got questions galore. That was a fun time.
Oh man, that sounds like it would be fun though.
Well, you know, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, I just I don't even remember why I decided to come out. I think I was just done
Hiding.
hiding. And I don't feel like I'm hiding now, even though I'm not
Mm-hmm. All the way out.
all the way out, per se. Um, I feel like I'm living my truth and I don't need everybody to know. Work has no business in my personal
Mm-mm.
life. So why would I tell them? The only way that they would know is if they bring religion into the office, and then I'm going to
Have some issues.
have some issues. But thankfully, they're not like that. Like I know that the dispatcher goes to um, is Catholic because she'll come in on Ash Wednesday
What for?
with the cross on her forehead and ash. Um, but it's not. I mean, she's not. Oh, I just went to Ash Wednesday. You should
Right.
go too. Are you doing it? She's very much not pushy about it, and I think everybody else is some form of atheist. So
Makes a nice work environment.
yeah. So yeah, work has no business knowing unless they make it a problem, and they don't make it a problem. So
I think the only time it becomes annoying when you're working is holidays. You want to celebrate certain holidays, and if you work in certain industries, they're like, oh, you can't have that off. That's not a holiday. Yeah, it is. Then you have to explain, and then you're becoming ostracized.
yeah, like this year I had planned to take off a day for each of the pagan holidays, and I ultimately decided not to do that just because I can usually work around my work schedule,
Right.
and I don't need that day um, because I need my time. I need my time off for other things.
Right.
Because it's not like I can negotiate with them and be like, okay, I get 8 holidays a year. I'm taking these days as my holiday, and then work the other day because they're not going to want to pay me.
Right.
Because our clients, generally, the days that we take off for holidays, our clients take off. So it's not like I'd have anything to do on those days.
Right.
So I have to take the standard US national holidays of Christmas, Christmas Eve, New Year's Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, and Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Those are my 8 holidays. Fun, fun for everyone.
Yay.
But to bring it back around, yes, there's no shame in being in the broom closet. There's no shame in being out of the broom closet. I think that the witch trials inform our station in terms of where we're at in the broom closet because of the connotations that it formed around witchcraft, the word witch, and all of that.
Well, not only that, with witchcraft, it's not a religion, so you can
Yeah.
practice it and believe whatever you want to believe. You can believe in the tooth fairy or the spaghetti monster.
Or be a Presbyterian and believe that your soul goes up on the roof and you can't get it down when you die.
Yep.
It's not a religion; it's a practice, and that's why you can have Christian witches. Christianity is their religion. Witchcraft is the practice that they do in honor of that religion. And then you have people who are just witches that don't have a religion. They just follow what calls to their soul.
Well, I think with that, we've covered pretty much everything from the witch trials to the broom closet. And with that, we bid you guys adieu. Until next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Ohio Pagans Guide. If you have questions or would like to suggest a topic we should discuss, reach out to us via email at ohiopaganisguide@gmail.com or on Facebook at the Ohio Pagans Guide.